I decided to try something for my sermon last week, and if you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. The concept was I was going to start singing the beginning of a familiar song, and then stop at some point and trust the congregation to finish the line for me. And then I was going to try this again with several songs that are familiar to folks from different genres. And the idea is that when words are set to music, we there's something about us that helps us remember them, that they stay in our minds and in our beings longer. So, and what got me thinking about this is my focus scripture was Psalm 22, right? My God, why have you forsaken me? We're familiar with that psalm as the psalm that Jesus cried from the cross, but we're not always familiar with how the psalm continues. It is both an expression of lament, which many people could identify with after the elections last week. But it's also a psalm of praise and trust. And it's interesting. The psalm says to the tune of the deer of the dawn, or something like that. So we don't know what the tunes were for these psalms, but we know that they were songs. And so my theory was that as Jesus began the words to that psalm from the cross, not only would the people listening recognize the lament, but also the promise of trusting God. They would have known the melody would have taken them to the fullness of the message. So back to my experiment at the beginning of the service, there was no instruction. I just started singing. And not only did the congregation join me, they didn't wait till I stopped. I literally started singing, and a word or two in, they joined me. Song after song, they joined their voices with mine, proving that they know the words like I expected, and that singing, even uninstructed, is something that is unifying in a season when we feel like we might be divided. So after the service, people were like, "Hey, that was really a risk for you to start off your sermon just by singing and to trust that the congregation would join you." And not only did they join me long before I anticipated, which was really an encouragement. Ever since then, I've been thinking about taking a risk for God, what it might mean in my life and in your life to take a risk for God, to try something, to put yourself out there and see how God and God's people respond. Love to talk with you more about that, and be thinking and praying for you this week.